lot. We will be using Blue Ridge computers and other technology, our Blue Ridge email system and things like that during your time in the program. Mrs. Alton is the one that when it is the night before a project is due and you're trying to figure out how to put a graph into your presentation, you're going to be emailing her at about 10:30 at night. And maybe if you're lucky, she'll still be up and will answer. I would suggest not waiting until that late. We also have Mr. Reynolds back here. Mr. Reynolds is our online computer programming teacher and our online learning coordinator. So as a virtual school, we have a lot of course offerings now that you guys will be able to take as you go through the program that are like online courses. He works to kind of manage those things and figure out who's in these courses and how to get you registered and stuff like that. And he also teaches a computer science class for us. And then we have your teachers. So from Fluvanna, Mr. Luke Devine. You can cheer for your teachers, Fluvanna people. It's a good idea. Start getting on his good side now. From Nelson, Miss Knight. Oh, clap, nice. From Louisa, Miss Carr. There we go. And from Houston, we have Mr. Dorico, who was voted best dressed for today. Thanks for respecting Blue Ridge, Mr. Dorico. So again, welcome. We're going to kind of get into a couple of different things today, but and most of what we're going to start doing is talking about this thing Blue Ridge that you're in, because you guys have a little bit different situation, or actually a lot different situation than most people going into high school, and that is you're going into two schools. You're going into your local schools, Fluvanna, Goochland, and Louisa, Nelson. You go Orange and Green. Also, we have some folks from there as well. You go into those schools, but you're also a part of Blue Ridge. And it's a little strange because, you know, Blue Ridge is a school, and as a school, we have some things that go on that like any other school, but it's a little bit weird. So that's a lot of what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about the role of Blue Ridge as a school, what you're going to be doing. We're going to get into some of the specific kinds of activities that we do. You'll learn a little bit about your world history course that you'll be going into in the next few weeks. And then at the end of the day, how many of you guys are getting picked up by parents, just out of curiosity? That's pretty good. When you get picked up by parents at the end of the day, first of all, you're going to need to make sure that you're signed out and your parent signs you out. Secondly, hopefully your parents know I'm going to be doing a brief informational session for parents at the end of the day. So we're going to start talking about Blue Ridge and its role as a school and why you're here. And in order to do this, you guys are going to be having some conversations. So what you need to do is a couple of things. This is going to be your first real following direction task for Blue Ridge. You're going to need to get in a group of, say, 2 or 3 people. 4 is okay, not any bigger than 4. And somebody in that group needs to have a cell phone. And only one person needs to have a cell phone out. And that person needs to text to this number. They need to text this message, which is my name, 554. So go ahead and do that now. Find your group. Go ahead. I did not. That's 757. I'm sorry, I'm coming back to it. Mark Caraway classroom. Okay. So just hold on to that for a second. Because what you're going to be doing, one of the things that we're going to be doing here, and we do a lot in this program, is that we kind of combine our total ability and our total thoughts about different stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start talking about, again, about Blue Ridge as a school. So when you think of a school, like an old school, you think of it, it's a place where people go and things happen every day. Blue Ridge is a school, but we're a virtual school. We don't have a place. So what is it that makes us a school? What makes something a school when you don't have a building or a parking lot or a football team? And I know you got some answers, but that's why the phones. We're going to come to that in a second because we want to see what everybody thinks about this. So I want you to just talk about this question for a second with your group. Take about 1 minute. Define a school, but you may not use the word place. Okay? So take about a minute. Talk about that with your group. What is a school? You can't use the word place. Okay, what we need you to do now is take that definition, and whoever has your phone needs to go ahead and enter that in and text it below that message. Here it starts a program that educates people, an area in which students learn from adults, also called teachers. Group of individual peers come together and learn. Okay, like this. A school is anywhere that you learn. Your house or Best Western. I like that because we do a lot of learning here at Best Western. An environment where people go, community of people focused on the goal of learning, educational organization, a group of people who come together to learn. And some of these answers kind of have place in them, where people learn to receive an education. Could be anywhere. I'm trying to turn this into a workshop. Yeah. All right, so we got a lot of different answers here, but a lot of them seem to come together. I like the group of individual peers that come together and learn and socialize about certain topics. Anywhere you can learn, House Best Western, an environment where people go, an institution, an organization. So basically, you guys are kind of on this. A school is any place that, or any, I use the word place, any organization, any way, any structure in which people come together and learn. So if somebody put Best Western, we do a lot of learning here. This is going to be kind of your home away from home in terms of Blue Ridge activities. We go to lots of other places. We'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. You guys really kind of nailed a lot of this. What happens in the course of this program? We do a lot of learning. You're going to be in your schools most of the time. On a daily basis, you'll be walking into your class. You'll be learning some way. Some days it looks very much like any other class that you would have. But on a lot of days, there are times when you're going to be connecting with your peers. So those of you from Fluvanna will be working with those of you from Goochland, or Nelson, or Louisa, or Orange, or Madison, or Green. And just so you know, Orange, Madison, Green aren't here today because we have so many students coming in this year that we're going to do a separate orientation for the north side of the program. But that's going to be your school, a big part of your school experience, and that you'll be working together, kind of like we're doing it here. You're going to be combining your answers, combining your knowledge, figuring out how to solve problems and doing things like that. We'll talk a little bit about the specific goals that the program has in relation to that. So we have a couple of other questions in relation to this. And the first one is, why are you here? Why did you join BRVGS? You had to go through an application process that wasn't very easy. You had to fill out paperwork, go in and take tests. You had to do all this different stuff. Hopefully there was some motivation. Let me just get two things out of the way. How many of you are here because your mother or your father made you join? Just out of curiosity. Nobody? Okay. Yeah, all right, yeah, that's true. Yeah, we know that there are some of you that are here and they're like, no, you got to do this. I don't know if I want to tell you, you got to do this. We know that happens, okay? So the other question, and this is the other big answer we get, how many of you are here because it looks good on a college application? That's a lot more, okay. A lot more. That's not a bad answer. And one of the things, those of you that might have heard me talk in the fall of last year, if you were in the information sessions, our kids do really, really well for college placement. This past year, we had students that got into Harvard on a full ride scholarship. We had students go to Duke University on a full ride scholarship. We had students go to
Yale.
To Yale. We've got Naval Academy. We've got a lot of good college places, and that's great. And we hope, and we will do everything that we can to make sure that you get into the college of your choice. That's a big part of it. But when you think about college, you guys have a long time before you really have to start thinking about your college applications. You need to think about it in terms of, why does something look good on a college application? Because it's not like the college application people were reviewing your applications to college are just sitting there kind of going, check, oh, they got this, oh, check, oh, they got that. It's because different things that you do represent something. Maybe it's a scouting experience, or maybe it's something that you've done, yearbook experience at school, or whatever it happens to be. That doesn't mean, that's not something they look for a check off. That tells them that you've had some experiences that are going to make you potentially more successful in college. We're going to talk a little bit, part of today is going to be, what is it you're going to learn in this program that can help with that? Because the big issue for us is not so much, do you get into the college of your choice, but are you ready when you get there? Because any guesses as to how many students actually graduate from four-year colleges within 6 years? What percentage? Let me put it in these terms. What percentage of students graduate from a four-year college within 6 years? That's somebody who's maybe not doing so well, but graduates within 6 years. But overall, how many people are going to graduate within 6 years? Pardon? I'm listening for numbers. 8%. A little higher than that. College's got to make money. 60%, I got a 60. Do I hear 40%? What else? 35. About 36% of students graduate within 4 years. So only about a third of students graduate within 4 years. 56% graduate within 6 years. That means over 40% of college students who go to four-year schools have not graduated by the time they've been in college for 6 years. Now, we really don't know what happens much after that because the data sort of breaks down. But the point of that being is, it's not just enough to get into college. You've got to have the skills to get there. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You're going to get through lots of different things you do. Some of them are things that are not academics necessarily. I mentioned scouting or participation in sports teams or bands and things like that can really help you prepare for that because they require different skills. But that's one of the things that we're here for. So I want to ask you, my mother made me do it, and it looks good on a college application off the table. I want in your group, come up with the top reasons. Take about a minute, come up with the top reason that you guys could all agree on why join BRVGS. Not yet. Don't text me yet.
Like last week. I don't mean like yeah, I read it one day. I read like 7 books in one day. It's not that good.
All right, yep. Go ahead and text your answer. What's your top answer? Why join BRVGS? Now I gotta work on it. Here we go.
Whoa. Okay. Oh, for the most answers here.
What's that? Yeah. The bigger note, the bigger words are the ones that are the most coming in. Oh, like challenge, I like that. All right, so this is a little bit different way to look at the input. So the bigger words are the ones that more people put than anything. So it was for a while, it's all about us, but now it's talent, experience, nice, work. All right, not entirely sure about unable. Pizza. How many people joined for the pizza? Because we eat a lot of pizza. Okay, we'll stop there. So a few other things, normally, hopefully will be somewhat normal. Challenge experience. One of the things we'll want to do in this program is give you some experiences that are different. One of the things about Blue Ridge and the purpose of Blue Ridge to exist is to provide you with some different experiences. Some things that maybe are not the kind of experiences you'll have in your school life. One of the things I was talking with a couple of folks about this earlier today. One of the things that you will do as a Blue Ridge student is you will have a senior internship and internship research and community service project on any topic that you're interested in. So right now, this summer, we've got a lot of our students who are starting that already in the summer because they want to get some of these hours out of the way before the school year starts. And they're doing all kinds of stuff. We have students doing archaeology. We have students doing medical internships. We have students doing artistic internships. We've had students that have done body piercing. We have students that have not actually done body piercing, but they've studied that as a topic. We've had students that have studied, creative writing and fashion and all kinds of different stuff. So part of what we'll be able to do, hopefully, is provide you with an experience that will be really unique and something that you're really interested in. One of the things I'll talk about here is the fact that a lot of our students use that as a springboard to do their college experience and then go into their work after college. They actually started, some of them started their careers in Blue Ridge as Blue Ridge students. So that's a big part of what we're going to be doing. So good answers there. So one last question. I talked a little bit about this, but one of the things that we are here to do is to help provide you with the skills. You're going to get a lot of knowledge in high school. You're going to learn a lot of things because you're going to take, not only are you going to take Blue Ridge classes, you're going to take your classes. You guys are all motivated students. You're in here. You've got a lot of academic motivation, that kind of stuff. You're going to get into your high school and you're going to find different topics, whatever you're interested in, and learn those things really well. You're going to have a lot of knowledge. The biggest thing that hopefully you will take out, though, is a set of skills that's going to help you be successful. So that's the last question I have for you right now is, what skills, and you come up with a list of three skills or character traits, basically, that a person can take out of high school. What do you think is going to help you be successful in college or the world beyond high school? So discuss it with your group. Don't start texting yet. We'll get set up. All right, as soon as you have 3 skills, go ahead next. I like that one.
No, I feel all right. You want me to go ahead and try again?
I think it's this now. Oh, we don't have 2. They took the other thermostat out, so you used to have the 2 zones, but you can feel it like you just walk back there. We're not sure about what FT was.
Who knows? Maybe. Not the worst.
Okay, attention back up here. So, good answers. Management seems to be in time. So I presume time management. That's a huge one. One of the things that you're going to do in this program is you're going to have really big, hairy projects. And by that I mean these are going to be things that go over. They'll be assigned in like September, and then they'll be due in November. Because that's how college works generally. You walk in, you're given a syllabus for what's going to happen over the course of a semester. They don't stand up like in school. You're kind of used to this, where somebody says, "Hey, tomorrow you have this due." That doesn't happen in college. It kind of happens around high school. It doesn't happen in college. So one of the things that we try to do is get your head into this, and we give you a lot of help. We don't just put you out there and say, "Here's the project. Show up in November. Hope it's done. Good luck." We help you build some skills for time management because it's a really critical piece, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Organization's sort of the same way. There's a lot of tools out there that you can use. You guys are really, really bright. That's why you're here, okay? You've probably done really, really well in school without having to put out a whole huge amount of effort in regard to some of these pieces, in regard to some of these skills. So it gets more complicated as you go, not just Blue Ridge, but high school in general. And you will find that. And so these are the kind of skills that you need to do, because here's the real truth, and I don't need for a second about this. Nobody's going to give you anything when you get to the point where you're in college or beyond. You're going to have to go out and earn. Don't. So you're going to, and by that I mean you're going to need to know. You're not going to be able to kind of float through high school and like, okay, I sort of barely made it, and I got all my papers done at 11:59 when they were due at midnight and that kind of stuff, and then go to college to be successful with that kind of mindset. You're not going to be able to say, well, I've got 4 hours to get stuff done, so the first 3.5 I'm going to play, whatever my favorite game is this week, and then for the last half an hour I'm going to get to work. You're going to have to think about what do you look like what are you going to look like as a successful person? It's critical So these are, you guys have identified very well. Perseverance, I like that. So we put optimism. You know, there are things about it, not just about like the logistics of time management and organization, but also about your attitude. Because here's one thing that's going to happen to you that may not happen to you before. It might happen to you in our classes. It might happen to you in other classes that you take in high school or college. You're going to run into a problem that you cannot easily solve. And here's what happens sometimes. People run into that problem and go, "Hell, I'm stuck." Or they figure out how to get over it or around it or under it or through it. And that is probably one of the biggest skills people learn. One of the great things about high school and this program is you've got a lot of people here that are here to help. And that's a big piece of what we're going to be doing. You know, we're going to put you into positions that are not necessarily going to be comfortable sometimes. Somebody, when, I asked about why did you join Blue Ridge, one of the big answers was challenge. Challenge means it's going to be tough sometimes, but tough in a good way. And tough in a way when you guys overcome each of the academic challenges that you're presented with, then you will be that much stronger. It's like a tough workout in a sport or like learning a new piece on an instrument. It's not easy the first time through. It gets a lot easier the more you do it. And a big part of it is we're here to help with that as well. So you guys, again, have really hit very well on a lot of what we're going to be doing in this program. I want to talk a little bit about this in terms of specifics, so you have a little bit more of an idea of what this is going to look like. Before we do that, I want you to kind of get your head into this just for a second, because this is really, I think this to me says a lot about what we do as a program. So I'm just going to listen to this.
Okay, here are 2 questions that can change your career, your business, maybe even your life. The first comes from Claire Booth, one of the first women to serve in the U.S. Congress. One day in the early 1960s, she went to visit President Kennedy, and she told him this: "A great man is a sentence." Abraham Lincoln's sentence was, he preserved the Union and freed the slaves. Franklin Roosevelt's sentence was, he lifted us out of the Great Depression and helped us win a world war. Most world was trying to do too many things, and that his sentence risks becoming a public barrier. If you really want to find your true motivation, answer yourself that question: what's my sentence? You don't have to be president of anything for this to help. Maybe your sentence is, she invented a device that made people's lives easier. Maybe it's, he taught 2 generations of kids how to read. Think about your sentence and use it to navigate your life. But to make your sentence really come alive and to create motivation that lasts, you need a second question. So each night, before you go to sleep, ask yourself, was I better today than yesterday? Keep asking that question, because that's how we really improve. Day by day, step by step, over and over for a very long time. It's tough, but it's the only way. Combine these 2 questions and motivation at work, in business, and the rest of your life. Take care of yourself. Drive, the surprising truth about what motivates us.
Here's the thing about that. This is a great time as you head into high school to start thinking about what your sentence is going to be. Who do you want to be? Not what do you want to do for the rest of your life. I want to be a vet tech for the rest of my life. I want to be a lawyer. Maybe you have that, and a lot of people do, and a lot of people kind of have that formed in their head. Probably, possibly, it would take. But thinking about what do you want to accomplish? What are those things that you want to accomplish? You don't need an answer now, but it's a good time, a good place to start. And one of the things that hopefully we'll do in this program is give you the opportunity to explore some of that. There are things that students have encountered on a one-day, we do a field trip called Tech Tour in junior year. We've had students that have gone in at 8 o'clock that morning to go on this field trip, and they visit technology center businesses in Charlottesville, and they came out and said, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like what those people that I saw today are doing. Sometimes it hits like that. Sometimes it takes a while to develop. And a big part of that is knowing who you are. So that's a part of what we try to do in this program as well. So a couple things about this. As I was thinking about this and thinking about talking to you guys, thinking about what your sentence is going to be, and how to think of yourselves as students, And you guys are heading into ninth grade, but you will very soon be seniors and college students out in the working world. So a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Reynolds and I were in China. We were in Shanghai, China, with a group of Blue Ridge students. And we bumped into, we actually arranged a meeting with Chris Wood, who's a Nelson County graduate. Chris and his sister Katie were both Blue Ridge Virtual Governors School students. Chris has been in Shanghai now for about 5 years. He went over as a graduate student with Johns Hopkins. He got over there, he spent a year there, and then he started working there. And one of the things that came up, he graduated with an economics and Chinese language, and degrees in economics and Chinese language. But while he was there, he realized he got a job with a company and had the opportunity to do some computer programming. The only course he'd ever had in computer programming was his Blue Ridge Virtual Governors School computer programming course with Mr. Reynolds several years before, but he was able to use that. And he has now worked at 4 different companies in Shanghai. He lives in an apartment in Shanghai, loving it over there. He's on a sports startup company doing programming, working with a Chinese company. So that's the kind of thing that you can do with the knowledge you get from this program. Sam Young went to Madison County High School. Sam's in his 4th year at UVA, working in microneurology, basically. He did that as his senior project for Blue Ridge Virtual Governors School. He's now a lab assistant for one of the premier labs in the country doing neurological research. And loving it. You can see. I mean, he was presenting to whole groups of scientists when he was a second-year student at UVA. Jamie Yursitz at Orange County High School was a Blue Ridge graduate. She was interested in the arts, so did an arts project for her senior year. Is now the art teacher at Orange County High School. And then, the other kinds of things you can do. I mentioned we were in China a couple of weeks ago. This is a group of Blue Ridge students, some of whom are graduates, some of whom are still current students. In China at the Great Wall, just about 3 weeks ago today, I think, of course, I'm still wearing that wall. So these are the kind of things we want to give you guys, these kind of opportunities while you're here. And so there's lots that we're going to try to do that is going to create that. And some of this may be out of your comfort zone. Some of it may be stuff that you're like, okay, that's great, let's do it. So first off, you mentioned challenges. We are going to give you challenges. Lots of different kinds of things. Some of it's in the work that we do. You guys are entering into a history class where you're going to be asked to think about history differently, and you're going to be asked to do things differently with your topics in history. So we're going to be focusing on technology and development of technology, but you're going to be asked to think about history as not as something that it just happened, so we just have to remember what happened, and then we got to answer that on the test. It's going to be about why do things happen? How could things have been done different? What would have been different if something happened? So that's a big part, and when your history teacher speaks a little bit about your summer work and about what you're going to be going into the year with, that's a lot of what you're going to be doing. When we talk about challenges, that's the kind of thing we're doing. We're going to work on things like writing skills, like how to write a really good research paper, things like that. One thing that you will do, we do virtually nothing alone in this program. As seniors, I mentioned, you'll have a senior project. It will be individual, it'll be your thing. You'll be doing that kind of on your own. But basically everything else that we do in this project, in this program, we're going to be doing at least some component will be working with others, because that's the real world. What we find is very, very, very few people go out into the world and then just work by themselves. Very few people go to college and just work by themselves. You walk into the library at UVA, and you'll go there as part of Blue Ridge, go up and do different research projects and things. You will see UVA students on the kind of group projects that we do. And I've actually had students say, hey, they're doing exactly the same kind of stuff we do. Yeah, that's not an accident. We're trying to get you guys ready for being a community of learners, because together you are smarter than any of you individually. So we'll do a lot of that. We're going to have some fun. That's one thing that we try to do. We do lots of different field trips. We go to DC this year. Some of it happens here. We'll have different work trips and things. But even with that, even when we got work to do, we want to have a good time doing it. Pictures here. This is a trip we did to the IMAX theater, I think, a couple of years ago when they were showing
Smithsonian.
A great movie there. And then the other one is from a CBF Chesapeake Bay Foundation trip. A little bit of a rainy day, but we still have fun. We do that kind of stuff too. We've been talking about the skill thing. You're going to hear it over and over again. Every time that we go into a project, we'll talk about the specific skills we're trying to work with you on that. We'll try to give you some, we're not just going to expect that you will develop them on your own. We're going to give you a lot of strategies for that, because one of the things about learning stuff like this is that just doing it doesn't necessarily develop the skills. And I'll give you an example of that. A couple of years ago, I saw this guy at a conference. He's an expert in free throw shooting. He coaches a lot of NBA players on how to shoot foul shots. This guy gave about a 45-minute talk, and he was shooting foul shots. He had set up a basket on the stage. The entire time he's talking to the audience, he's shooting foul shots. He asked us to count how many free throws he hit. It was something like 147. He didn't miss one time. And the point of it was not that practice makes perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. And by that, I mean, when you're talking about developing skills, if we say, we want you to write a paper, and we want you to work with a group, and we want you to develop a website, again, we're not going to say, go out there and figure that stuff out on your own. Good luck. You know, we're going to give you support for that. We're going to give you guidance on that. We're going to give you instruction on that. And we're going to give you some strategies. I mean, one of the things we'll talk about later today is some strategies and how do you work together in a team? Because quite honestly, you're going to be put together in teams. When we do team assignments for this, we don't assign you with your best friends. That way. We assign you in groups. A lot of times you're in groups with people from other schools. You don't even know them. How do you make that work? How do you guys make decisions as a group? How do you communicate? Things like that. So those are the things that we're going to do a lot of as a program. I mentioned you'll be doing a lot of projects, and the projects look really different from class to class. In history, you'll have a website project. You'll have a kind of an ethics debate project. In biology, you'll have experiments you'll be doing and sharing data. You'll be writing grants, doing a grant funding project. In computer science, you'll be developing computer programs that will help solve problems. So lots of different kinds of projects, but there's a lot of things about these projects that look similar too. You know, we'll expect certain kinds of collaboration and communication from different people in groups and things like that. But it's kind of a fun part. Usually with the projects, what you'll do is you'll have an individual part that you'll do. You might be have a particular topic out of that thing that you have to go research yourself, and you've got to come up. You're going to become an expert on it, and then you will come together with the other people who have that same topic. Now you're all experts. You're going to sit down and say, okay, what's the next step? Well, you know, whether it's if we want to build a website that features the most important technologies of the Incan civilization, you guys all are now experts on the Incas. You come back in and say, okay, these were the most important technologies, and that's what we're going to focus on this website. Or you might decide together what kind of problem you're going to solve as a program. Lots of different kinds of activities. I mentioned the field trips. One thing about the field trips, just so you know, is that they are not, generally they're not optional for us. They're a part of being part of the school. We understand you guys have very busy lives. A lot of your athletes are in band or drama, things like that. We will work with you to work on those things, but it's not something like, yeah, I just don't feel like going today. Sorry, you guys have a nice time. Because a lot of these, and you guys will find out very quickly, a lot of these field trips are very critical parts of our learning for these projects. It's, you know, if you don't come, you won't know what's going on. So you got to show up. But we do some other things. We do. I mentioned the tech tour that we do. We do the trips to DC. Those are a lot of fun. You know, we try to have things that are just active and fun ways to learn as well. You're going to have one of the things, great things for you guys. I don't know how many. Just out of curiosity, how many of you guys have older brothers or sisters in the program? Okay, so a few guys. Some people said I'm not sure. Okay. So here's the deal. For those of you that have older siblings, if they've come through in the last couple of years, they've seen some real changes in terms of what's available to our students, because we've been able to bring a lot of courses, and we have certain courses that you will take on the way through the program. Obviously, world history, advanced basic biology. In your junior year, you'll have some choices, and we've got currently we have engineering course with UVA. We've got computer science with Mr. Reynolds. We have advanced placement computer sciences. So lots of different choices that these are online courses that you can kind of choose from. Then we've got our senior year project as well, and you can also take online courses from us in those years as well. One of the things that we are trying to do as a program is expand those choices for you, so that if you're interested, say, in medicine, we'll have a course for you. If you're interested in engineering, we've got a course for you. If you're interested in computers, we've got lots of courses for you. So that's one of the things we're going to try to do over time. We mentioned the teamwork. This is it's a huge part of what we do, and that is something that you will see throughout your academic and work career. So that's something we're going to spend a lot of time with. So a few little things real quick. We are a school. One of the things that you will find out when we come together for our first field trip, we have everybody here, which will be like 108 people. We'll get into some of the specifics about what we're going to be doing, about what we're doing as a project. We'll also talk about expectations. Somebody, I heard, just I think it was used as a handbook. We have a handbook. We have rules for school. I mean, we don't have a football team, but we, like a school, have lots of other things that we do. So we have certain kinds of expectations. Our biggest thing, and you will hear this a lot, particularly from those of us that you communicate with, myself, Ms. Alton, Mr. Reynolds, is that we expect you to be academic and professional. And by that I mean, like, if you're going to email us, do it in a way that's academic and professional. Because we see an email that's like, so I was thinking, with that, who's that to? I don't even know who that's to. Or it doesn't have it doesn't have a header on it or something like that. We're not going to be quite as inclined to kind of look as favorably at whatever you're asking about. I mean, a lot of you guys, by the way, emailed me with questions about this orientation or about summer work, and I got some great emails. So a lot of you guys are already well on board with that communication. But by this, we also mean like dress. When we do, one of the things that you will do as a skill set for us is presenting, being able to do this, stand up and talk with, with slides and pictures and things behind you. Usually you'll do that in a group setting, and that way if you pass out, somebody can catch it. But we'll develop those. But when we do that, we'll say we expect professional dress, and we'll usually give you some outlines about what that is. But if you show up and you say, well, no, I just didn't feel like dressing that way, so I showed up in my cutoff shorts and my flip-flops, we're not going to let you present. You're not going to be part of that because it's not academic and professional. So we specifically expect it to be that way. And I'm very happy to say that most of our students really get there. And one of the neat things is when our students go out to internships and stuff, usually the people that they're working with are very impressed with our students' communications, with the way that they show up and do things professionally. And that often leads to other opportunities for those students. We have an honor code, and you will hear us talk a lot about this. One of probably the most critical things that I can do when you leave this program, if you want a recommendation from me, and a lot of students ask me for recommendations, or they ask us out, or they ask their teachers. One of the best things we can do is say, this person has been an honorable student their entire time. Because a lot of times people will put more weight on that than they will put on what kind of grades you get. Getting good grades is not as important as being an honest person. And one of the things that happens, because you guys are academically motivated students, and I imagine you'd like to get good grades, is sometimes you're going to be tempted. Or a temptation will be put in front of you, or somebody will ask you, share your work. A friend will ask you to share your work, or will provide you with something that might give you, an unfair shortcut. Don't do it. Be honorable, because that is the best thing that you can take out of this, out of any experience that you have, and the best thing that you can carry with you in terms of recognition. We will expect effort. If you're a part of a team and the rest of your teammates kind of go to their teachers and come to me and say, 3 of us are doing all of the work and one person is just sitting there doing nothing. We're going to pull that one person off the team. And then they're going to have to do the whole thing by themselves. So a lack of effort actually sometimes turns into actually more work. So we expect you to at least step up. Woody Allen said 90% of success is just showing up. Being there, listening, doing there. And the other one is communication. And essentially, if you look at, I mentioned about how many students are not successful sometimes in college. One of the common denominators for students who are not successful in college is they don't communicate with their professors. You have a huge support network in this program. You can always email me, Ms. Alton, Mr. Reynolds, your teachers. Talk to your teachers directly. If you're struggling with something, we're going to work with you. If we know it. But here's what happens sometimes. We get to the end of a project, and somebody say, well, they'll get their grade back and they go, that's not a very good grade. Well, yeah, but I had like 3 meets and, and play practice and a bunch of other stuff going on, so I couldn't get everything done. Well, we didn't know that. We graded what we got, right? So your communication is huge. Being able to say, hey, I know this paper is due this week, but, I've got to go out of town for a family event. What can we do? We got students who will say after the fact, oh, well, I didn't have a computer at home. I couldn't work on it. We have computers at home. It's okay. We can help you out in that perspective. But we've got to know. So communicate early and often is a big deal for us. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Alton for a little bit to talk about the virtual side of Blue Ridge and the technology side.
Okay. So how many of you, first off, have a personal email account? That's just about everyone. Good. How many of you already have a school email account? Good, just about everyone. Okay, so you will get one more school email account. You will have a specific Blue Ridge one. We do require that you use this for your Blue Ridge work, and especially your group projects, things like that. And just so you know, and we're all on the same page, I monitor it. And it is not a computer that looks over your stuff, it's me. If I hear from your teacher that you seem kind of distracted during class, you're typing a whole lot, but you're not producing any work, I probably will hop in and watch you during class to see if you're chat messaging with your friends or what you're doing. We can hop into your account and your computer at any time. We don't need your permission. You won't know that we're doing it. So anything you type in to an email, to a Google Doc, to a chat message, is something that you think I would think okay if I was standing right behind you. Because it's super big brother-ish, but I am. And the main reason we do this is to prepare you guys for when you get to college and when you get a job, how to use professional email. If you send something inappropriate at your work, you'll get fired. So this is a good way to start testing it now. Almost all of you have personal emails. So if you're planning a party for the weekend, or you want to talk about one of your friends, which isn't nice to do, but you might do it at some point, use your personal email. Please don't use your Blue Ridge email. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. Really make sure that what you're using your Blue Ridge email for is school. You can use it for extracurriculars. If you're doing like an internship and you want a professional looking email to contact someone with, you're more than welcome to use it for those kind of things. Just don't use it for, like your social personal life. I'm going to take you guys on a quick tour of the Blue Ridge website just so you can see what's up there if you haven't looked up there in a while. In your packet, don't take it out, but one of the first pages is how to log into your Blue Ridge account, what your password is. Do not change your Blue Ridge password. I know it looks horrible right now. It looks like a phone number or something you're going to have to memorize. After a couple weeks of school, you'll have it memorized. The main reason we have you not change your password is that if you're doing a group project and you are sick at home or you can't be there to work on it, and you have that piece of a document that your group really needs, your teacher and I can log into your account easily, not have to change any of your settings, and just share that piece with them. Or if you're having trouble, it's a lot easier for me to be able to log in with the same account information you have so I can see if it's a user error or a hardware error or a network error. So this is our website. To log into almost all the tools that will be made available to you, you actually see this little user icon. When you click on it, our website slides down and you have links to stuff that you'll need for us. So Google Apps, that's obviously where your email, your docs, your calendar, just like your school Google Apps account, all your stuff will be there. Google Classroom, a lot of our teachers use that, so that's just a nice quick short link right into it for you. Open Class, you guys won't have to really worry about. Obviously not the staff resources. Haiku you'll use when you're a junior for the online computer programming class. Turnitin is something you will start using as a 9th grader. This is a website. When you write a paper for us, a couple times in the process, you will submit your paper to Turnitin. Turnitin takes your paper, compares it to every other student paper, either through Blue Ridge or anywhere in the world that's been submitted to it, all major journals and periodicals, and most of the internet. What it's looking for is plagiarism. We don't use this as a tool to catch you cheating. We use it as a tool to teach you how to reword, how to cite, how to rework your papers to make sure that you aren't plagiarizing by accident. So what happens is, like, you'll have your rough draft, you'll submit it to Turnitin. Your teacher will get a report of a percentage originality. So how original the Turnitin think your paper is. And it will highlight sections that maybe you forgot to cite or you didn't reword in your own words. And it'll say, this is where this information comes from, and gives the teacher the link. Or it'll say, this paragraph is really similar to this other student's paragraph. And it doesn't have to be 100% original. We have kind of a threshold. You guys are going to be writing papers on topics that a ton of students have written on before. So our teachers know how to use it. But you'll also get that report back. So you can look at your paper and be like, oh man, I forgot to put this citation in. I forgot to reword this, or something like that. You'll get a chance to then rework your paper and submit it again. This actually is an awesome tool, and we have a lot of students that request access for their other classes. They have a paper from an English class. They might want to submit it to make sure that they're citing everything correctly. So it's a really useful tool. We want you guys to learn how to write for these types of tools, because when you get to UVA or William and Mary or a lot of these bigger colleges, they use this to catch people cheating. And if you're at a school with a very strict honor code like UVA or William and Mary, if they catch you cheating on a paper, they kick you out. So it's better to learn how to write for this kind of environment here, where it's a little bit safe and we give you some chances to work on your stuff, versus when you get to college and your parents need a lot of money for you to be there. I will be, as you guys start writing your papers in class, I'll be coming into your classroom and teaching you guys step by step how to use a lot of these tools. Like Mr. Caraway said, I'm online almost all the time, either on my computer or on my phone. You can contact me at any point. You can shoot me an email or a chat. If you're having trouble with something, you can share that document or site with me and I can help you with it, whether it's like a formatting thing or you're trying to do something cool with it and it's just not working, or you want to use a new tool. Please contact me. I am a resource for you guys just as much as the teachers. If you're trying to do something for another class that's not even Blue Ridge, you are welcome to contact me with anything tech related. If you're having trouble with your computer at home, you can contact me about that and I can help you with that situation, try to help fix it for you. So please contact me early and often. So obviously the homepage is where all the news and stuff is. If you have questions about your summer work, you can actually find it by clicking on that link. On the About Blue Ridge, it'll give you information, maps of where all our schools are, the handbook, and kind of the who's all the teachers. So you remember, you'll have one world history teacher, but every school has one. So there's actually 7 world history teachers. They're great resources. Under the academic tab, you kind of see our whole curriculum and also all of our current projects. For each one of your major semester projects, there is a big website that tells you everything. It will tell you everything you're expected to do, what the due dates are, when it's going to be graded, how it's going to be graded, when your presentation is, see an example. So when you have a question, and this is something where if you go to your teacher and ask them, 99% of the time, the first thing they're going to say is, have you looked on the project site? And if you email Mr. Caraway or I a question about, when is such and such due? The first response for us is going to be, have you looked at the project site? So it's always your best place to go to get that kind of information. Also, your parents can see exactly what you're doing and what's expected of you. You can also see examples of the websites and projects that students have done in the past by clicking on the student work, and projects you guys will do will be posted there as you complete them, and all the senior projects. If you just want to see some of the topics that our seniors have done, you can go there, and they have done a million different projects. If you can sell us on it, you can do it. So that's a great way to do it. And a lot of people even start thinking in 9th and 10th grade is something they might like to do for their senior project. Admissions, you guys have already taken care of that. You're here. This is the one that's going to be the most useful for you guys, is the resources tab. So this first link for laptop loans, if you don't have a computer at home, or you're going on a trip and you need a laptop, we have laptops that you can borrow. Sometimes it's a short-term checkout. Sometimes it's, I'll check a laptop out to someone for an entire semester if you don't have a computer at home. We want you to have that access. We have things set up so even if you don't have internet at home, there's still a lot you can do where you can sync all your stuff while you're at school, bring the laptop home, work on it at home, come back to school, and everything will sync back up. So there's never a reason for you not to have a computer if you need one. I have a ton of loaners. We have a process where your parents have to sign off that they know you're bringing one home. We check it out to you. But it's definitely something, please don't let not having a computer at home let you get behind. We can always, always, always help you with that. Additionally, there's the tech help desk. If your computer at school breaks or a website breaks or something's not working right, you can email me or you can shoot off a tech help desk. And it just kind of had to go through a quick form about what your problem is, and then I'll get back with you on how we can fix it, whether it's replacing a piece of hardware or, you know, you got locked out of your account or something like that. It's an easy way to get in touch with me. Some of the Google tools, we use them a lot, so there'll be a lot of help provided. We'll actually have some resources that your school accounts won't have. I'll come into your classrooms as we get started with school and kind of talk you through all of that, kind of what our expectations are, where you can find help, and how to use them. Another thing, how many of you have ever used Google to search for something? I would imagine this is close to everyone. I mean, hopefully there's no Bing users or Yahoo users, but yeah, I'm a little Google preferential. But Scholar Search is like a mini version of Google. Has anyone used Google Scholar before? Okay, a couple people. So what Google Scholar searches, instead of like, if you're searching for the Civil War, instead of like Jim's Civil War page, where we have no idea if Jim is an expert on the Civil War, Google Scholar, the results that you get are peer-reviewed journals, scholarly articles, things that you can actually cite in an academic paper. So it's a great place to get true academic sources for something versus just, you know, I mean, a webpage that any of us could have just thrown up there. Book search works the same way. One of the most useful ones for you guys will be the OWL Writing Lab. This comes from Purdue. This is how to do anything with any type of writing. It will probably how to do all your citations, anything like that, how to form a thesis statement, how to organize your paper. It even has sections like if you have writer's block or you don't know where to start. It talks you through the steps on how to manage that with any type of writing. So it's a super great resource for any of your classes, even beyond Blue Ridge. The gallery, you can just see some pictures and stuff. And then another thing, if you're like, I've gotten locked out of my email account, so obviously I can't email Ms. Hill to tell her that I'm locked out of my email account. The Contact BRVGS page has a little form. If you submit a message through here, Mr. Caraway and I both get it. So that's a great way to say, hey, I've gotten locked out of my computer or my account and I can't get in. You can always contact us that way. Any questions? I know I talked really fast. I went through a lot. All right.
Thanks for that. So, you know, one of the things, you guys will really learn this stuff by using it, and you will use it a lot. And there's different projects have different expectations for things that you'll need to do, whether it's emailing, just other stuff like that. So we'll definitely want you to do that. So I went through this already. There we go. So a few words from your history teacher about your upcoming history class, and then we're going to be moving around after that. So I know you guys have been sitting for a long time.
You start with us, 9th grade, in world history 1 and 2, basically we take those per year, and we call that technology through the ages, right? You're going to be starting off your summer reading with the prologue and first 2 chapters of the book by David and Gunnistern and Steele. You will never read that book. Have we actually ever read it? So this book is pretty really interesting in some parts, challenging in others. That will actually help a lot with learning about history and understanding its connections today. And we'll make it up the biggest thing we want to say is there's a couple of things that will help you through this. It is on a college level, and so you may find yourself using words you've never heard of before, and the content pulls are quite enough. What do you do when you come in contact with a word that you really don't know? Google. You can Google it, yes. You can do that. What else?
Good answer.
Dictionary, right? Online dictionary, the physical, those paper ones. That's up. open up and look inside. It's actually really valuable because sometimes we think we know what something means enough, but actually knowing it definitely changes the perspective at times. When you're reading this book, there are questions that you can answer. Those questions are checked. They're a way for us to see that you've actually read the book. The questions themselves aren't the part that's most important though. When you come back to us, when you start your school year, you come into your classes, we're going to be talking about the book on a deeper level. We're going to be talking about what you got out of it, why it's important. The idea is this book has some pretty big messages about why we are the way we are. Is the world perfect? Are there a lot of problems in the world? Do we tend to judge other people because they're different? Here's time to look at why they're different. Why do some things turn out the way that they do? And so we look at different aspects of geography and how they affect people. And we try to break down these artificial barriers and things like, oh, well, you know, people are better, that's why they're different. These people do this because they're smarter. And as we take those myths and break them down and throw them away, we'll talk about why those things are.
One of the things that I found most interesting about this book is he talks about intelligence and what that means. And if we all ask you guys, what do you think it means to be intelligent? More than likely you would say someone who's smart, they go to a good college, blah, blah, blah. But what he actually talks about is there are different kinds of intelligence. So the people that he looks at, they might not be able to go to Harvard and get a degree. But if we drop you all off, or even the smart people in this room off into this big kind of island, you probably wouldn't be able to survive. So the people there, they're way smarter than we would be if we were dropped off there. So this book for me just makes you think about different types of what intelligence means and how that transcends from you guys and your culture compared to somebody else's culture, and they definitely mean different things. My advice to you when you read this book is even if you do your guided reading questions, answer your guided reading questions, they just kind of help you make sure you get the main point. But I would also, just a bare minimum, after you get through a chapter, just try to summarize what you read. And the other thing that would be very, very helpful for us as your teachers is if you write down questions that you had while you were reading, because that generates a great classroom discussion. So that's my advice.
How does it relate to BRVGS school district? It's not perfect. We want to make the world better. How do you make the world better? You understand it better, right? You understand why those things happen, what causes them to. So history isn't just learning a bunch of facts, as I mentioned before. It's the psychology behind things, it's the sociology of things, it's the technology and how it moves things. This book examines technology, how it develops, why it develops, where it develops, how it moves. How does technology flow? Your technology is a lot different from the technology I grew up with. The technology of your children will be different too. It scares the heck out of me. But I remember as a kid sitting there listening to the hi-fi with the big old Mickey Mouse ear headphones, and that was a record, 38. Okay? I remember putting in the reel-to-reel tape player. You've probably never seen one. The world is changing very quickly now. A lot longer before. We're going to be looking at old stuff. The really, really ancient technology and how it changed the world. Why it changed the world. And what changed. And how does that make us part of who we are? It's a really, really important class if you want to make this world better. Because it's going to make you think about how people's actions affect future generations.
I think she, this book, yeah, we'll do World History Part 1, which is the first of all for many of us, the first semester. So that's the prehistory to 1500, and then in the second part of the course, which is 1500 to present. And in between that, we do 2 major semester projects along with everything that we know we in the class. And we also go on some field trips. So that's good fun.
And for teachers. Okay, so one of the things I mentioned that we get into here is you'll be doing a lot of teamwork in this program. So we're actually going to be getting into some different teams. You're going to be moving around a little bit here. in a second, and we're going to got a couple of different team tasks. Part of it is going to be just meeting some of your fellow Blue Ridge students. Part of it is going to be actually how do you do certain things. Who are you as a group member? How do you operate? We'll kind of get into that mostly after lunch. Once we've got a couple of things that we need to do. So the first thing that we need to do is to actually get into different groups. And you will notice on the back corner of your folder, you have different numbers. And those numbers are 1 through 15. Hey guys. So we will have groups of up to 6 people. So what we've got, and this is a huge part because we've got a lot of people usually at these events. So follow directions. Plus it's good. So over here we've got 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, indeed. 7 rows. And the rest of the rows over here. What we're going to be doing is you're going to move to the area where your number is. So if you are number 1, you're in this first row. If you're number 2, you're in the second row. Number 3, third row, etc. Number 8 over here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So your task right now is to go find your row that corresponds to your. Take all your stuff.